fresh, farm-raised catfish. Americans eat it by the plateful. Farmers all over the South have grown this industry from its infancy in the 1960s to a multi-billion-dollar industry today, with state-of-the-art on-farm facilities and efficient, cost-effective processing plants, producing the highest quality product available in the market today. But the U.S. catfish industry has been plagued in the last decade by the importation of low-priced, substandard fish from Asian countries, namely the People's Republic of China and the Socialist Republic of Vietnam. Fish importers had no luck selling their fish product in the United States under such names as white roughy and river cobbler. However, when importers began calling their fish catfish, their sales picked up immediately. In a span of 18 months, Vietnamese frozen fish fillets replaced over 23% of the small catfish fillet market previously held by U.S. catfish processors. The problem is that many fish imports from Chinese and Vietnamese aquaculture pose a health risk because of the unsanitary conditions of some fish farms, including water polluted by untreated sewage, fish contaminated by bacteria and viruses, and fish treated with antibiotics and other medications that are banned in the United States as dangerous to human health.
We are back now with an NBC News investigation tonight, and as you watch this next report, keep this one fact in mind. 80% of the fish and shrimp we eat in this country is imported. 80% of it shipped here from overseas. Tonight, our investigation has found some of that seafood may contain toxic chemicals and may cause serious health issues over time. Our report from NBC's Jeff Rawson.
This video, shot by a U.S. advocacy group, shows dirty sewage water used to raise seafood in Vietnam. The fish pumped with toxic antibiotics and banned drugs just to keep them alive, boosting production and driving down costs.
Would you consider this a public health threat?
Well, absolutely.
Ron Sparks is the commissioner of Alabama's Department of Agriculture, one of the only states testing imported seafood for these dangerous drugs.
In some cases, between 40 and 50% of our tests will come out positive.
State tests in Oklahoma, Mississippi, and Georgia show similar results, all targeting seafood with the worst record of contamination: shrimp, catfish, crab meat, and tilapia, imported to the U.S. from China, Taiwan, Vietnam, Malaysia, and Indonesia. In some cases, officials say, ending up in our country's restaurants and grocery stores.
Unfortunately, consumers can't tell if any of these compounds are in their seafood. You can't smell it, can't taste it, you can't cook it out.
So how dangerous are these chemicals? Scientists say over time, eating this tainted seafood could cause anemia, cancer, even birth defects.
While federal law requires grocery stores to disclose its country of origin.
Where's the tilapia from?
In restaurants where most of us eat our seafood, it's a different story. Most states don't require them to tell you where it's from at all.
In 2009, the state of Alabama halted the sale of imported catfish after 18 of 40 samples tested positive for an antibiotic banned for use in food in the United States. In 2011, Canada found illegal drugs in Vietnamese catfish. Germany and Italy found insecticides in Vietnamese catfish, and British retailers took Vietnamese catfish off the shelves due to illegal additives. Tainted imported catfish is almost certainly in the U.S. food chain, and the federal government isn't doing enough to protect its citizens. The Food and Drug Administration only tests 1% of seafood imports. Federal law requires supermarkets to identify the country of origin of seafood sold, but restaurants are not required to do so. In a recent survey, over 80% of Kentuckians said they would choose U.S. catfish over imported fish if they knew they had a choice. But when ordering catfish in a restaurant where 70% of all catfish is consumed, how can the public know where the catfish came from? A state law requiring country of origin labeling of catfish served in restaurants is one way to help solve this problem. 5 states have already enacted laws requiring restaurants to identify the nationality of the catfish they serve. Restaurants in these states proudly display the U.S. farm-raised catfish sign provided to them free of charge by the Catfish Institute to help them comply with the labeling law. Labeling is a common-sense response to the risks of illegal, dangerous drugs and chemicals found in Asian catfish imports, especially in the light of the fact that the FDA is doing such a poor job of screening for these unsafe and possibly deadly catfish products. No significant government expenditure would be required to implement this law. But more importantly, 92% of consumers in Kentucky said that they would support this restaurant labeling requirement. Give consumers the knowledge they need to make their own choices about what they put in their bodies. Pass a law that requires restaurants to identify the country of origin of the catfish that they serve. After all, which would you choose for yourself? Catfish grown in the USA or catfish imported from China or Vietnam?